As-Salaam Alaikum and welcome to another fantastic episode of the Rise Magazine podcast. This is the visual and audible representation of the baddest magazine on the planet, smashing records all over the planet Earth. None other than Rise Magazine, the black-owned international magazine itself. Without any further ado, as we always open every single episode on the Rise Magazine podcast, we have got to open up in prayer. So please assume whatever position of prayer you find the most comfortable, and we pray. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, Master of this day of judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we worship, and thine aid do we seek. O Allah, guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thou favors, and not the path upon whom thou wrath has been brought down, nor those who go astray. Ameen. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah. Muhammad is his messenger. I greet you all, beautiful audience, listeners, in the greeting words of peace of As-Salaam Alaikum. My name is Brother Hashim, as you probably know by this point. And we have an absolutely wonderful program set out for you today, but I am not going to welcome my stay or overstay my welcome, however you would say it. It doesn't matter. I'm going to turn it over to our wonderful editor-in-chief of Rise Magazine, the woman herself, Sister Aziza Muhammad. So at this time, I turn you, wonderful audience, over to her.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much, Brother Hashim. I'd like to begin in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. I bear witness that there's no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. I greet everyone who's watching in the greeting words of peace and paradise of As-Salaam Alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you so much for everyone who came on to join and listen to what we have in store today. Before I begin, I'd like to thank our CEO and founder of Rise Magazine and the Rise Magazine podcast, Student Regional Minister Abdul Sharrieff Muhammad. Thank him for giving us this opportunity, myself and the Rise Magazine team, to come on and have a place where, we can talk, express ourselves, and share valuable information to our people. And so today we have a really interesting episode. I can't wait till everyone hears. We're going to hear from Brother Hashim, actually, who is part of the Ministry of Justice, and he'll be sharing some good information with us, how it began, what he's doing, who works with him, things like that. We'll go into the question and answers. Before going into that, I'm going to hold up the newest issue of Rise Magazine, and this is Brother Joshua Muhammad of the People's Podcast. If you haven't gotten your copy, please get it. You can go to www.risemagazineco.com. Once again, that's www.risemagazineco.com, and you can order your copy of Rise Magazine. There's really interesting interviews in there, articles. We have different articles, and we have articles in different languages, and there's something in Rise Magazine for everyone to enjoy, no matter what religion you're from, religion you're a part of, no matter what language you speak. There's something in Rise Magazine for you, and that's really our goal with the magazine, is to offer it to people from all walks of life. And so I'll show a few pages actually, so that you can get an idea of it. Let me try to get a good one. Okay, here we go. So this story right here, we have a sister. It's really a really interesting story. I'll just go into it a little bit. But the sister, her name is Sister Alia Muhammad, and she's actually runs track, and she talks about her story being a track member as a person who's Muslim with the last name Muhammad. And so, as I mentioned, we have a really interesting article. So please, once again, www.risemagazineco.com. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and get started with the Ministry of Justice. And so, Brother Hashim, if you can, you've already pretty much introduced yourself, but you can give a new introduction of who you are and what you do in the Ministry of Justice.
All praise to Allah. Thank you, Sister Aziza. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, I pray that there is no God but Allah. Muhammad is his messenger. I greet you all in the greeting words of peace of As-Salaam Alaikum. My name is Brother Hashim, as you already know. I am the representative for the Ministry of Justice in the Southern region. And just to give you a little bit of an explanation on what the Ministry of Justice is, I went ahead and wrote down my little notes here. And I'm going to read to you what the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says about the Ministry of Justice, so you can know exactly what it is and what it is to do. So the Ministry of Justice protects the rights and privileges of the members of the society and provides for penalties to be imposed upon persons who violate or threaten to violate the law or disrupt the peace. The member of the community shall forfeit his or her rights and privileges of membership in the community without just cause and without due process in reaching a determination that cause exists. This ministry is charged with the development of an independent judicial system in order that get the rest of it, but in order basically to govern the community, etc. There it is. In order, I'm gonna put that up for myself. Pardon me. Oh yeah, the development of an independent justice system in order to carry out its charge. It also initiates legal action, including class actions against external entities, including governments, corporations, institutions, and or individuals who, through their actions, pose a threat to the essential rights of the members of this community. So, in a nutshell, the Ministry of Justice is about making sure that peace is maintained internally. But many times when we look at this, we think of this as solely maintaining the law within the entity of the Nation of Islam. But it says an independent judicial system, which is not only maintaining the law within the Nation of Islam, but it is also bringing that same just fairness and just cause to our people that are not in the Nation of Islam. So this means taking the restrictive law and what we have learned and finding ways to implement it properly with our people that are in the streets. So when we're looking at the Ministry of Justice and what we do, the whole point is to keep chaos from erupting. So this includes many things. This includes counseling. This includes conflict resolution, stopping things from ending violently if you're talking about people in the street. But within the Nation of Islam itself, it includes making sure that those of us who are registered believers in the Nation of Islam understand our constitution, understand our laws, understand our rights, understand the guidelines that have been set out for us by the Savior, and then extending that once we have properly incorporated this within the nation, then extending that to our people. Because as we know, we do not get justly dealt with in these school systems. We don't get justly dealt with in the court system. We don't get justly dealt with in any system, in the job system, no matter what it is. So an independent judicial system goes into separation. So now the Ministry of Justice is charged with developing its own, in a way, its own communities, developing its own communities. Because how can you have an independent judicial system in a community that is not independent? So now we have to work towards separation and then govern within our own sphere and then slowly begin to grow and expand. So it basically all ties into what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is teaching us, which is separation. Because the purpose of the Ministry of Justice is to govern our people under the laws that have been given to us by our Savior, Master Prophet Muhammad. So that's my little spiel. I don't hope it wasn't a long answer, but yeah.
Praise be to Allah. That was beautiful, beautifully said.
Thank you.
And for everyone who's watching who may not be familiar with with what Brother Hashim read, he defined the Ministry of Justice, and you can find that on NOI.org/the Ministries. And once again, that's NOI.org/the Ministries, and it explains each ministry. So it goes into the Ministry of Agriculture, Education, Information, and as Brother Hashim read, the Ministry of Justice, as well as the others. Once again, that's for everyone who may be unfamiliar about what each ministry represents. Of course, we want to thank the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for putting this together and giving our people something that's very, very much needed in this world that we live in. And thank you, Brother Hashim, for that explanation. Now to get into the questions and answers, I'll start off. And the first question I have, Brother Hashim, is how did you start off in the Ministry of Justice?
Well, I just, like everyone else here in the southern region that got into it, we were just kind of really worked into it. We didn't specifically say, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that. It just happened, because I started really working with, and may Allah, thank Allah for Regional Minister Abdul Muhammad. I started truly working with him like the way I am now about 3 years ago. And as I worked with him and I did my best, like, yes, I gotta make my regional minister proud, because I always looked up to Minister Sharrieff. So then he started to bring me up and bring some of the others that we went out and got to work with us up. And he called us down one day. He said, "Brother Hashim, you and everybody, I'm not going to try to imitate his voice, you and everybody, come to Atlanta for an in-person meeting at the Ark. I want everyone there. No excuses. I'm not taking no for an answer. You better make it happen." It was just like, do it. So I was like, oh snap, I have to do this. And he's not going to take any excuses. So I had to make it. So we made it happen. Everybody came down and we sat down, we spoke with him, and he talked to us. And he talked to us a lot about the Joshua generation and the youth. And he said, one thing he said, doesn't make any old people mad, I hope. But he said he didn't really want to use old people because they're tired, they didn't want to do anything. So he said, well, I'm using you now. So he gave us a sheet, all of the 9 ministries, and he passed it around. And he said, I want each of you to pick one of these ministries and, you know, go with it and head it up and make it happen in the South. And me personally, I never really had a specific thing within the nation that is like, okay, this is what I like to do. For me, it was always just do what you're told. I never had like, oh, I want to help in this specific way. My way of helping has always been, I'm going to help where help is needed. So it didn't matter what it was. We don't break the law or do anything, but if it meant punching somebody, that's what I did. If it meant not punching somebody, if it meant selling the final call, it didn't matter. It never mattered, and it still doesn't matter. I don't care what I do, as long as I'm doing something. So I was looking at everybody, they really picked one, and the Ministry of Justice was there, and it needed to be taken care of. Nobody had picked it. That's just real talk. So I said, shoot, this is right here that needs to be headed up. Nobody picked it. I'm going to girdle up my loins, and I'm going to do it. So I said, yeah, this one right here, Ministry of Justice. And that's how I got involved in it, and I began to study up on it. I naturally had to read the Constitution and begin to fully understand the structure in the Nation of Islam in order to properly do it. And just some few things happen with basically. I don't want to ramble, but I like to tell stories. But I'm done.
Praise be to Allah. Thank you for that, Hashim. And we all know Student Minister Sharrieff as being, for everyone who does know him and who's familiar with him, and for anyone who doesn't, he's the type of man who's really a go-getter, go and do it. He's all about really pushing people to their potential and showing the godliness in each of us, which is in each of us. You just always need a person or persons to bring it out. And he's definitely, I can say from personal experience, he's definitely that person who will bring out the godliness in you. Sometimes that you don't realize is in you until circumstances come up and it's brought out. And so I just wanted to mention that as well. Praise be to Allah. Another thing I want to mention is, Brother Hashim, you mentioned the Ark. And for those who are unfamiliar with it, it's a business hub that was crafted by Student Minister Sharrieff and is based in Atlanta, Georgia, but available for people, it's available for the Nation of Islam, really. And the main theme of it is do for self or suffer the consequences. So if you just think about that, the words that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us, exemplified by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the Ark was designed to really be a symbol of that. And so with that, there's a clothing store for sisters, place they can come and, dress modestly. They don't have to go out and look for clothing elsewhere because, they have a place. We have a place as sisters to go and find what we need without, has a short sleeve, this is too tight. Everything that we need to dress modestly as Allah wants us to dress. There's Rise Magazine office located in the Ark. There's Your Bean Pie, Your Books and Variety Store, which is Black-owned grocery store that includes books. So really everything that we need in order to sustain ourselves is located in this building named the Ark. I wanted to mention that to all those who may be unfamiliar with the Ark. Another thing is, while we're on the topic of the Ark, there was an article written in the Final Call by myself and Sister Anisa Muhammad, who works in Ministry of Information. and it's called Young People Focused on Building 9 Ministries in Southern Region. And I just pulled it up right here on my phone. But once again, it's called Young People Focused on Building 9 Ministries in Southern Region. And really, the story just goes on to talk about how the 9 ministries of the South met at the Ark. It goes into each of the members of the 9 ministries, or some of them, talking about their experiences coming to the Ark, and what they're doing within their ministries, how they felt during the meeting, what it meant to them. And I just want to read something. But actually, I'm actually going to read what you wrote about it during your interview. Not what you wrote, but what you said, and that was written. And so let me see if I can find it right here.
And since it's about why you're looking for that, you mind if I just clarify something?
Oh, no problem.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, just so the audience knows, the meeting that is mentioned in that article is not the meeting that I'm speaking of when Ministry passed around the paper. The meeting that I'm speaking of where, I got involved in Ministry Justice, that was 2 years ago. This meeting that Sister Aziza is reading to you from, this was earlier this year, like last month, like 2 months ago. So I just want to clarify.
Oh, praise to Allah. Thank you for that, Sheen. Thank you for mentioning that. Okay, and I found it right here. So it says, describing the 9 ministries meeting as divine, Youth Student Minister Hashim Muhammad of the Ministry of Justice said, to see so many dedicated, young, working Muslims engaging in the proper business of life moved me to tears. When asked what he hopes the young members of the 9 ministries of the South gained from their experience at the Ark, Minister Sharrieff Muhammad told the final call, I hope they gained the spirit of being together with a common cause for the upliftment of our people in the spirit of Master Fard Muhammad, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. He is the Jesus in our midst. And so going back to that, those words that you spoke, Brother Hashim, that was stated in the article, can you just explain to everyone verbally what it was like to see young minds coming together from the Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Information, Education? How did it feel to see everyone really coming together and talking about plans that can help move our nation forward?
It felt like victory, because one thing that we can't forget is that we are at war. And sometimes we move, and the way we move, we forget that we are soldiers at war. It doesn't matter what you're doing, it doesn't matter what your role is. If your role is a secretary, if your role is a minister, if your role is a protocol, all of it is part of the war effort. So this was a great move in the war effort to take the southern region. Listen to the way Master Fard Muhammad describes what we're trying to do in the Nation of Islam. He says going behind enemy lines and setting up a beachhead. So what is that telling you? This is an info war. It's a war of information, just like the Cold War, if you will. It's a war for the minds of the people, but it's a war nonetheless. So you notice that what war uses, this is just real talk, no war is going to use a bunch of old soldiers that can't move. Every country, when it's time to go to war, who do they recruit? The young. Because young people are the ones that fight. Young people are the ones that win the war. You can't use older people to a certain degree, because young man for war, old man for counsel. So generals are typically much older than 25, right? They're in their 50s, 60s, and 40s. So there's a place for our older people. But the soldiers that make it happen should be young, right? So when we went to the Ark and we saw all these dedicated Muslims that are young, not playing around, not trying to engage in the frivolousness of this life, actually taking it seriously, understanding that this is something that needs to be done. That was beautiful, because that's how we're going to get victory. Because the fact of the matter is, this goddamn devil has been around too long. It's time to defeat him. Master Fard Muhammad is waiting on us to get our people. And that's the only reason why the destruction ain't came yet. That's what Minister Farrakhan said. The 9 ministries is a part of how we're going to get our people, because we have to have something to offer them in order to get. And the 9 ministries gives us a way to offer them something. The Ministry of Health, We can offer them better, proper, caring, and loving health care. I work in the healthcare field with the fire department. I will tell you right now that they do not take proper care of our people. The Ministry of Justice, our people have never had justice, so we're offering it to. The Ministry of Defense, our people have been defenseless their whole lives, being killed, murdered, raped, and robbed. We're offering to defend them. The Ministry of Agriculture, our people don't know jack, you know what, about farming no more. They can't take care of themselves. So now we have the Ministry of Agriculture to feed our people. The Ministry of Education. You want to hide something from a nigga, put it in the book. Our people will read, but we don't read the proper stuff. We read, damn, Jack and Jill went up the hill and patch a pail of water. That's stupid. You ain't reading the proper stuff. The Ministry of Education, educating our people properly, right? Every ministry is offering them what they need in order to sustain themselves. So now when they see, oh, the Nation of Islam got it going on, then they come to us. And then Master Prophet Muhammad can finally come and break these fools off. Because it's time. So it felt like victory. I was happy. I was so happy. And Sister Taylor, you can say, oh, I didn't hug the sisters. But I hugged everybody, man. Please, you saw me, didn't you, Sister Taylor? Didn't you saw me, didn't you, Sister Caesar? I was hugging everybody. It got so bad, Brother Ryan, he was like, Brother Hashim, stop. I said, no, sir. I was hugging everybody. Everybody was getting it from Brother Hashim that day. Hope nobody don't call the police for harassment, but I was hugging folks, man.
And if they do call the police, we have the Ministry of Justice.
Praise be to Allah. I'm going to need y'all to back me up. Brother Hashim ain't no harasser.
I also want to mention a tweet that just coming from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. We always want to direct everything back to him. And these are his words he had to say on Twitter. And this was last month, so April 26, 2022. And the tweet from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan says, youth, you must not allow yourself to fall victim to the enemy who knows this is the time of our rise. So once again, this just goes back to showing the time that we're living in and the importance of young people rising up and really taking their proper place and duty of bringing a new world into existence. And as Brother Hashim mentioned, using the older men or older women for counsel, but having the young people go out for war. And that's really something that we have to think about. You know, there's no one greater than the other, but it's just the proper place of each person in the proper timing and what needs to be done in order to fulfill Allah's words. And so we want to hear from our sister, our beautiful co-host, Sister Taylor. Sister Taylor, do you have any questions to ask Brother Hashim?
Brother, the stuff that you have shared today, the information you have shared today has been absolutely beautiful. My question is how did you hone in on your leadership skills? So you referenced earlier that you're younger, you have to read the Constitution before you got started. How have your leadership skills developed, and what kind of tactics did you use to kind of hone in on those?
Listening, this is one thing that people have got to understand, and I relate it to teaching. When I first started teaching in the ministry, I was 8 years old. My mother, I was a little boy, my mom grabbed me by the hand and she said, going up there. And I was like, I was being a baby trying to do it. No, I don't want to. She forced me. I was forced into the ministry. I didn't have a choice. I was forced into the ministry. And see, I'm going to relate this to what you say. So I would get up there, right? And I noticed something. When I would get up there and try to teach, I would do horrible. One time I froze, right? And it was terrible, so scared. But then I realized something. I said, why am I teaching? Notice the wording. Why am I teaching? It should never be me. I don't have to teach. I just need to quote. That's all I got to do. Read something from Message to the Black Man, expound on what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. Read something from Closing the Gap. Read something from the Quran and expound on what Allah is saying. You should never teach on the rostrum. So relate that to leadership. Why are you leading? All you have to do is follow instructions. I don't do anything. I just do what Minister Sharrieff says. And he does what the Honorable Minister Farrakhan says. And he does what Allah says. It just flows like that. I don't do nothing. I just listen. Minister Sharrieff says, do this. Brother Hashim does it. Minister Sharrieff says, go there. Brother Hashim goes. I know. Am I frozen? Can y'all still hear me?
We can hear you. Yes, sir. Loud and clear.
Is my camera frozen?
No, you're not frozen.
Okay, well, it looks frozen to me. But it doesn't matter. But, no one has to, that's what we need to understand. You got to take it off yourself. Just follow. And that's where we've got to get back, because I'm not a leader. I am a follower that Minister Sharrieff happens to use to help others follow. That's it. That's the way you have to look at it. So the fact of the matter is we have to get back to being a soldier. Like when you ask somebody to do something and they're free. I'm not talking about someone who's not free. But when you're free to do something and they ask you all these type of questions. Well, what is it? Well, I don't know. Where do I have to go? Well, what are you? When the hell did we start this? Soldiers follow orders as long as they do not conflict with their religion. So when you're asked to do something, all that rah, yada, yada, yada needs to stop.
Yeah.
You do it, you can ask questions later. But first you do it. You carry out the instruction. Because I'll tell you right now, you do that in an actual battlefield where people are dying and you try to wait and figure out what's going on. Man, do you know how many people's lives just got lost from your ignorance, your arrogance, and your lack of discipline? Bring that here. How many people in the street could be getting saved right now? You could be out there leading the men, leading the women, doing what you need to do out in the community, but you wasting time arguing with your superior officer and while we're losing people. No, ma'am. No, sir. So the key is to obey, because obedience is better than sacrifice.
Praise be to Allah. That was perfectly said. All praise is due to Allah. Thank you so much for that, Brother Hashim. And thank you for that question, Sister Taylor. All praise is due to Allah. And so we're going to go on to just mention a few things. If we can have the newest issue of Rise Magazine put on the screen. Okay, there we go. All right, so as I mentioned earlier, this is the newest issue of Rise Magazine. Our May issue, inshallah, our June issue will be out very soon. And so for the May issue, I just want everyone to look at some of the wording on the cover, on the front cover. The first one is join the nation of Islam and live. Secondly, suicide is not the answer. Islam is real. Do for self or suffer the consequences. And that's a quote from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And the last thing that's written on the cover is the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, the mouthpiece of Allah God in our midst. And Student Minister Sharrieff has instructed that that's on every issue of Rise Magazine that's printed, published, and handed out, not only locally to our people, but as Brother Hashim mentioned at the beginning of the show, Rise Magazine is international. We're in the Caribbean, we're in Africa, we're in Canada, we're in Europe, we're in Asia. And so the word's getting out there, and our people are in all parts of the world. And they have to know that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan is indeed the mouthpiece of Allah God in our midst. And why is he that? Because he speaks the words that Allah has revealed, and he lives out the words that Allah has revealed. And so that's all these things are reminders. We spoke about justice today with the Ministry of Justice. And if you look at Islam, it represents freedom, justice, and equality is what we're taught. And so really, everything that we spoke about today is important. It goes back to everything that we are doing, whether it's publications, whether it's being in different ministries, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Education, pooling our resources, our talents, and showing the world what we represent, as who we represent as Muslims, and what it is that needs to be done for a new world to be brought into existence, because this world does not have justice. This world does not have freedom or equality. And, there's not much that needs to be said with that. You can just look at history, read about history, and it's very evident. And so, once again, everyone, please support Rise Magazine, a magazine that publishes nothing but unedited truth. And you can go to www.risemagazineco.com. Once again, www.risemagazineco.com. And for Brother Hashim, do you have any closing words you'd like to say to those who are watching?
Yes. Firstly, is my camera still on? Because I can't see.
It's still on.
Okay. Thank you. Closing words. Just to anybody watching, let's just do the work. Find any way possible that you can to contribute to the nation. Some of us don't know. I don't know where my spot is. People use that as an excuse to do nothing. Do something until you figure out where your spot is, right? You can be distributing Final Call newspapers. All of us should be distributing the Final Call. All of us should be doing it, right? But if you don't know but each of us, to be added to that, all of us should be distributing Final Call. But within that, each of us do have a special thing that we can add to our nation that other people might not be able to add the way you can, because we're all different. We're all special in different ways. But until you find that don't mean stop pushing, stop distributing Final Call. No, keep doing that until you find it. The point is, everyone should be contributing to their nation, whether it is with a ministry. If you want to join the ministries, follow us. You can follow us on Instagram. I know the Ministry of Agriculture and all of them have Instagram. Just, I can't find it all right now, but we're having a website that is going to come out very, very, very soon. So stay tuned for that. And inshallah, the next ministry that comes on here, the website will probably already be, hopefully, underway and everything, and they can mention and tell you what it is. But follow the 9 Ministries podcast on YouTube, because we have a podcast too, it's a show. So just type in 9 Ministries, 9 Ministries podcast on YouTube. And be sure to subscribe and follow and watch the videos there. And yeah, that's it. That's all I have. We're in the liberation struggle for our people. So let's just keep on going, keep on fighting, keep on striving. There's nothing else to do. So that's all I have.
Praise be to Allah. Yeah, so for everyone, thank you for that, Brother Hashim. And for everyone who's watching, I just want to bring up a few more points. Please follow Rise Magazine on Instagram at _Rise Magazine. As Brother Hashim mentioned, please follow the 9 Ministries on Instagram and other forms of social media that they have. Please come and visit the Ark if you're in Atlanta, even if you're just come by to visit. And you can call us at 404-963-1078. If you have any questions, we do ship out some products. As I mentioned, we have bean pies. We have Supreme Spring Water, which is a natural water company. No fluoride in your water. You can get it from, a Black-owned. You can get it from the Muslims. And so once again, it's 404-963-1078. And that's the number to the Ark. Also, 10,000 Fearless Men and Women. It was called for by the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. It's present here in the Southern region. So please show your support for that as well. The 10,000 Fearless has a podcast here in the South. So please go on YouTube. You can subscribe and see different information that they have. There's a brother who started 10,000 Fearless in Mexico. And so there's just a bunch of beautiful things happening by the grace of Allah. So please make sure you tune in and follow and see how you can support and help. We really need all hands in deck in order to create this new world and bring it into existence as Allah wants us to do, so that the old world can go out, the new world can come in, and we can do our part that we need to do. And so once again, thank you all. Please show your support. Thanks for watching. And Brother Hashim, if you can close us out in prayer.
Yes, ma'am. Prayer. Oh, don't forget to donate to Rise Magazine also.
Yes, the Cash App. Thank you, Brother Hashim. Cash App, Rise Magazine. Of course, we all need financial support. So it is on the screen right here. Cash App, $ Rise Magazine. Please show your support so that we can keep going with the podcast as well as the actual physical copies of Rise Magazine.
Praise be to Allah. All right. So with that, I'm going to close out in prayer. Prayer. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent and Merciful, all praise is due to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Most Merciful, Master of this day of judgment in which we now live. Thee alone do we worship, and thine aid do we seek. O Allah, guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed thy favors, and not the path upon whom thy wrath has been brought down, nor those who go astray. Ameen. Praise be to Allah. As-Salaam Alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.